araw, podmates! Howie Severino muli na nagpapaalala na nakakatalino ang mahabang attention span. Ang guest natin ngayon ay ang tinuguriang The Animal Bone Collector ng Davao at nagtatag ng The Bone Collector Museum sa nasabing lungsod, si Darrell Blatchley. Isang Amerikanong dumating sa Pilipinas nung siya'y teenager pa lang. Siya ngayon ang madalas tinatawag kapag may namamatay na malaking hayop. Kasama na ang isang kilalang elepante na galing pang Maynila. Paano ka napadpad sa Pilipinas?
My parents are missionaries here in Davao and as well as dito sa Thailand. So pag abot diri sa Davao City, 15 na akong edad, it wasn't my choice to come here. It was my parents and God's choice pagdala diri sa Davao. Pero every place that you live, you have two choices. You love the place that you're at or you hate it. And I would rather love the place that I'm at and find things that I enjoy dito yung lugar. The first place that we lived in Davao was literally less than a kilometer away from the local crocodile park here. So para ako, it was like, oh yay, we have bahay and then merong crocodile park. So malapit lang sa mga wildlife. Pero as I started to explore more of the Philippines, nakita mi walang talaga ng education or yung concern about wildlife. Wildlife was makano pang kilo sa palengke or makano yung paghimo bakos or whatever. So there wasn't a value or a appreciation parang unsa yung grabe dyan ng wildlife nakita sa Philippines. Animals that hindi na wala ko nakita sa Thailand. Yung tamaraw, wala pa nakita yung in the wild. Pero sa Philippines lang pwede pakita ito. Yung tarsiers, we didn't have them in Thailand. Merong yung mga slow loris, pero walang tarsier. So it was grabe jud yung even kutob yung agila, yung Philippine eagle, to have something so big and so majestic, literally in the backyard. And the fact that lahat ng front yard is yung dagat. So it was an appreciation for what we have here. And since bata pa ko, nahili ko ng kolekta yung mga buto sa mga hayop. Hindi ko yung patyon ito yung hayop, parang guha. Yung mga hill tribe people na hatag, yung mga pets na matay, tapos na i-kolekta yung buto niya. Hindi yung fascination with death, it was a fascination with how amazing these creatures were. Pag naimatay mga whales or dolphins, I would ask the local government, I said, what happens to these animals? What was the cause of death? I asked motana sa mga media. We don't know, it just died. So because kept seeing more and more of these animals dying and walang results, walang reason, I took it upon myself to work with the Bureau of Fisheries, the BFAR, as well as the LGU to start finding out why these animals died. I had to do the studies and everything, parang proper ng necropsy, researching how it was done internationally. And then I proposed to the BFAR and the LGU, I said, I'll find out why these animals died, and then you turn over the remains to me to be able to be used for education, because otherwise it was either consumo sa tao, pagsunog, burned, or ipaglibing, they would bury it. And then you would lose all education value on it. So we started to recover. At first it was like, ganang katawa na kay, sabi mga tao, buang Amerikano, kang guha mga baho. And the animals stink when they're dead. Pero I look at what the final outcome of this animal is, parang education. Yeah, it is grabe jud kabaho, dead whale, whatever, mabaho jud. Pero the long-term effect of being able to do that preservation so that it can show people the amazing creation and the amazing environment we have diri sa Filipinas and throughout the world, but at the same time how fragile it is, how a large animal can die from something as small as a cellophane bag lang. To show that parang Filipinas o parang mga visitors diri, it's an encouragement when you start to see change.
Ang karamihan nga ng tao na mahilig sa hayop ay mahilig sa mga buhay na hayop, no? Kaya may mga pets, yung ibang may kaya nga, nag-set up ng personal na zoo, etc. Pero ang collection mo, dito, puro patay na, yung iba matagal nang patay. Bakit mo pinili yon versus, yun nga, yung collection ng mga buhay?
For me to do a zoo, it has to be done, several different things have to be done properly on it. Number one, yung space ng area. Para ko, hindi pwede butangin mo orangutan or yung mga deers, whatever, in a small enclosure na permanente ng stress sa mga hayop. If I do it, it has to be that the animal doesn't even realize that the visitor is there. So it would be done more on a safari style, kanang malaki yung area. I did not have the resources at the time paghimo ito to be able to do it. And there was already merong mga uban ng rescue centers that are yung Crocodile Park, yung Philippine Eagle Center, mga ito. As I get older and I look at it more, I do want to do something similar to that, pero not something that would infringe on other existing parks. It would be done in a way for, say, animals such as yung Philippine brown deer that are highly endangered na, but still being used para konsumo sa mga indigenous people. Do it in a way that that animal has a financial value for the Philippines, pero also still can be used and utilized by yung mga IPs, both in tourism, pero parang konsumo as well for them.
So, bakit nga buto?
Bakit ang buto kay, with these animals, ang issue talaga sa Philippines is humidity. Humidity and insects, and the humidity affects the taxidermy. Meron may mga taxidermy mounts which are the skin preservation of the animals, and over long term, I know those mounts will start to disintegrate. But we still have them on display until the time that they finally do fall apart. Parang at least na pwede pakita mga itsura sa mga tao unsay buhi pa ng itsura niya. With ito yung mga buto, it's the part that most people never ever get to see. And so it's able to highlight each one, showing the difference between a crab-eating macaw from the Philippines versus a Celebes crested macaw from Indonesia. You see the difference in the bones and the bone structures. And hindi ko nang issue sa mga insects or mga humidity ipagsira ito yung mga buto. It's a longer process and it takes more work to do it. Pero I look at the long term is parang mas mayo.
And ano yung naging epekto nito so far?
The effect because we've been open for 12 years now, when we first opened the museum, it felt like it was an uphill push. Kanang sige pagtulak against the norm. People were like, oh, bakit nambuto? Bakit ito? Pero because it's been 12 years now, we've had people that went from grade school, then high school, then they graduated college, and now they are the new DNR, the new BFAR workers, and they had gone through their courses from grade school to college, being able to visit here sa mga field trips niya. So they had learned to appreciate what wildlife was found here in the Philippines and other places. We have started to see a change. For me, it feels like it takes forever, but it doesn't happen overnight. So we have started to see a change, but if only 10% of the country changes and 90% doesn't, you still lose. So we continue to do what we're doing. We hope for the best. I would like to be optimistic, but I'm unfortunately more pessimistic, it seems. And so I have looked at it as enjoy as much of it as I can now, let my son see as much of what is still left now, and hopefully we can save some of it.
Saan nanggagaling yung mga buto?
Yung parang whales and dolphins lahat diri sa Davao Gulf, sa Pilipinas. Yung mga uban mga buto, they're donated from other collectors, hunters in legal countries. Ipag-send diri, parang gamiton sa museum. And the specimens that then go on display, they're not being resold. They're being treated chemically, parang wala mga insects, pag-abot man diri. And they are parang long-term talaga na kuan.
Kasi medyo matindi yung technical details nito, no? Yung proseso, no? There's a scientific process to doing all of this. Paano mo natutunan yon or yung mga kasamahan mo?
There's very few places in the world that do bone preservation. A lot of it is trial and error. You look at the old museums, yung sa London Natural History Museum, the US Natural History Museum, the styles that have been done, the process has changed a little bit over the years. The chemicals are a lot the same still, pero there's no actual place to go learn how to do like this unless you were to work at another museum to do it. The process that I've been doing is been through trial and error and communication with other museums.
So, ano yung main lessons para sa'yo?
Life is fragile. Take care of it, enjoy it. We're told to be, ever since, kung basa mo sa Biblia, when God placed Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, we're told to be caretakers. To take care of something doesn't mean to go out and destroy it. It means to take care of it. And if you look back at human history, if we take care of the environment around us, it takes care of us. If we abuse it, it hits us harder. If we cut all the trees down, then we have landslides, we have flooding, and it destroys us. If we take care of it, it provides us with resources, it provides us with shade, it provides us with food. So it's a balance between the two.
Anong mga ipinagmamalaki mo dito sa mga collection? I mean, if you're going to highlight just a few that really add value to this museum, what would you say?
If you had to look at yung kwan, the whales and dolphins are a big one because the Philippines is made up of islands. Everything from the Bukid Kutob, the beaches, affects everything in those oceans around us. The majority of Filipinos eat fish. Those fishes come from the oceans around us. So we directly impact the ocean around us. So para ko the whales and dolphins are basically the flagship animals parang ito. And then when you look at yung jungle sections, the bats and the hornbills are the ones that are replanting the forest. As a person, we can go mano and plant each tree. The bats and the birds are doing it for us for free. They eat the seed here, they fly up, and they release the seeds up in the mountains. But if we remove all their homes, wala na yung bats, wala na yung mga birds.
Let me ask you about the whale, no? Because those tell a story. Particularly yung isang balyena na, yun nga, parang kinatay mo, no? May pinakita ka, may chainsaw pa nga, at may mga beach na patay na whales, no? Na balyena na ang dami mong nakitang mga plastic sa loob, no? Ano yung gusto mong ibahagi?
When I do the necropsies, my sons are usually there with me. And it's not, for them, they don't see it as ganang bloody, gory. They want to know why it died. And I remember with the whale that had 40 kilos ng plastic basura, my sons went with me, we recovered it, we loaded it, we brought it back here, and as we're opening it up, you can hear it even in the video, my son goes, "Is that plastic?" And then we pull out the next one, he goes, "Dad, how did that animal live that long with so much plastic basura?" And then he started to get emotional because after 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pieces of plastic, and then you're getting to kilos of it, kutob na 40 kilos
Galing
ng basura.
lahat sa tiyan.
Sa stomach lang, yeah. He goes, murag na frustrated niya, murag na, "What's going to be left for me, Daddy?" I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "What will be left if this is every single year we're getting like this? Will I have any whales left to be able to see?" For me, it's sakit talaga. It's your son, it's your children asking you as the adult, will I have any animals to be able to enjoy, or will it be puros na patay na? Our generation, we look at our forefathers and we say, maraming pa mga forests sa Pilipinas sa una, maraming mga redwoods sa US. Why did you cut them all down? And they say, "Ay, parang pera." Now my generation is, it's just easier pang cellophane bag sa grocery store and then ilabay sa basura lang. We don't realize the consequences of the easiness, our comfort now of, instead of taking the bag with you to be able to reuse it, we want them to put it in and we take it home, pang basura. It gets tossed away, we don't remember it. Now, we're not the ones necessarily directly throwing it into the ocean, but we're part of the contributing factor for it. The Philippines is made up of islands. You don't have enough land to grow enough rice, let alone to throw away all of the garbage.
Dumating ka nga rito sa Pilipinas bilang anak ng mga misyonaryo, no, na nagtuturo tungkol sa relihiyon, at ngayon ay ikaw mismo ay isang pastor. Pero itong ginagawa mo rito ay malaking bahagi nito siyensya. Alam natin na madalas may lumilitaw na parang conflict between science and faith or religion and science, no? Kasi much of what you're talking about is really science-based, no? Paano mo nire-reconcile yan sa pananampalataya, sa paniniwala sa Diyos?
When I go walking in a jungle, I'm amazed at the structure of everything around it. That how one insect does its role in the ecosystem, and how it couldn't have been a mistake or by chance na ipagbuhat ito. If you look at, sabi ng evolutionists, over millions of years na itabo ito, nahimo ito. And yet, there's bird species that yung shape ng itlog niya is parang hindi mo tagak yung itlog sa cliff. If evolution took millions of years, parang ito yung itlog, to design itself to not roll off the cliff, you think about it, one generation of birds, their eggs falling off the cliff, wala na, extinct na ito yung bird. It was by design, by a creator, paghimo ito yung animal. So for me, I don't see a museum as in conflict with, even though yung scientific part of it, hindi na conflict sa yung religion aspect of it. It shows back to a creator the beauty of it, the intricateness of every single one of it. It doesn't matter whether it's a king cobra or reticulated python, they have the same design behind each one of them. A tiger skeleton or an elephant skeleton, or here's the fun part, is a giraffe, an elephant, a whale, a sparrow has 7 neck bones. If it was by evolution, how did they all only have 7 neck bones? You would have figured one flies, one crawls on land, impossibly that they would go, hey, we have to have 7. Why doesn't one have a giraffe, as big as their neck is, you would think, 20 neck bones. Why? Hindi. 7 neck bones. It's just, the intricateness of it is amazing. You would have to have more faith that it happened by accident than to believe it was designed by a creator. Now, if at the end of my life, I look at it this way, if at the end of my life, when I die, I find out that there is no God, that it's just black. Did I lose anything? No. If I live my life as I am, teaching people to take care of what God's created for them, teaching them to have that relationship to God, and I die and I find out that I was right, did I lose anything? No. I gained everything. So it boils down to their own personal choice. I hope they make the right choice. And we only get one chance at life.
If I may play devil's advocate here.
Yes.
Okay, because humans were also made by God.
Yes.
Within this belief system,
Yes.
right? And humans are creating these conditions that are killing these animals, that are causing extinctions, that may even cause the end of life on Earth, many, many generations from now. But since we were made by God, humans, and humans are creating these conditions for the loss of all of these species, would you also say that extinction and all of these problems that we have caused by humans, which were made by God, are also God's design?
It's interesting because this afternoon I'm going to go do prison ministry, and our topic today is free choice. Free choice or free will. We are given a choice. Now, the thing is hard to explain is, well, if God knows the beginning and He knows the end, how can it be free choice? He would want the best for us, but we have that choice, and there's what's called consequences. One of the sayings I have is, life is a journey full of choices and consequences. Which path will you take? Every action we have has a consequence. Good choices, good consequences. Bad choices, bad consequences. So if God giving us that free reign, that free choice to take care of or not take care of, and thus the consequences thereof, when we boil it down to whether it be an environmental or even sin choices.
Okay, and one of your choices is to live in the Philippines.
Yes.
And do all of this. And then, pero in the course of living here and putting up this museum and doing what you do, marami ka rin napansin na problema. And you've spoken about problems in the Philippines. Anong tinutugon mo? Anong sinasagot mo doon sa mga nagsasabi na dayo ka lang dito, foreigner ka lang dito, no? Tumahimik ka na lang muna at makisama ka. Huwag ka na magpuna, huwag ka na mag-express ng masyadong maraming opinion. Anong sinasagot mo doon?
Para ko, sakit ito kay 30 katuig na ko sa Pilipinas. And as you've said, yes, I can move, go back to my own country or move to any other country. I have put roots down in this country. My sons are here. I've put 30 years into this country. And it's for people to say, oh, you're just a foreigner. You have no rights here. We all live on the same planet. And There have been times I know I have made mistakes and maybe the way I approach things, whether it come across as arrogant or aggressive. And so when people say, oh, you're just a foreigner, you shouldn't tell us what to do. If I am wrong in saying it and I am lying, then sige, pwede pagsukot nimo, ireklamo nimo. Pero if what I'm saying is the truth, do not be offended by the truth. Make the changes. I love the Philippines, and there's times I do get frustrated with it, no matter whether it be the Philippines or if I lived in America or Thailand. Every country, every place in the world has its problems. Learning to accept it in some cases are things I need to do, but if it's something I believe truly that can be changed, then it should be. Not just for me, but for the country and for the future of my children and anybody else's children in the Philippines. But if we remain silent, and God has given us the position to be able to make positive change for the country, bad things happen when good people don't do anything. And I don't want to waste my time and position when I could have made positive change parang sa Philippines.
So, saan ang pag-asa sa Pilipinas? Kasi nga, nag-uusap tayo kanina, parang yung mga problemang nakita mo noon pa hanggang ngayon, nandiyan pa rin. Sa ugali, gawain, sa gobyerno, etc. No? At may nakikita ka mang pag-asa sa atin, dito sa ating bansa?
Basta buhay pa ng Pilipinas, merong pag-asa. As long as we're still alive, there is chance to change. I cannot force a Filipino to change. It has to be their own personal choice. If you can't force them to change, you can encourage them to change. If we have laws in place but we don't enforce the laws, then there will be no change. If the laws are enforced with discipline, it cannot be for 1 day or 2 days and then wala na.
Are you seeing change?
Yes, we do see change. It may not be as big as what we want, but you have to aim high and accept.
Where is the change?
Yung parang example, yung 7-Elevens, parang lahat ng Philippines used to always be plastic bags. After 2019, yung whale ng 40 kilos ng plastic, now it's paper bags. But it's a funny change because everything that goes into the paper bag is puros plastic yapon. Your paper straw with a plastic wrapper. So it's like, okay, the action is there, pero yeah.
Si Mali.
Yes.
Ano naman ang kwento ni Mali? Dito siya i-display pala.
Opo.
Mula Manila,
Ito yung
nandito
plano.
siya. Ano yung pwede mong ikwento sa amin tungkol kay Mali?
Mali, whether here, whether in Manila, will be something that will still be an education piece, parang sa Filipinas. With the Mali display, we have an ivory display right here, from mammoth ivory to hippo ivory to warthogs. The plan with Mali is to put ivory carvings in front of Mali and say, to get this, you have to kill this. Are you willing to kill this? Mali will be an ambassador, parang elephant ng species, of the fact that ivory comes from elephants.
Anong isasagot mo dun sa mga taga Maynila na matagal nakita si Mali sa Manila Zoo, parang naging simbolo siya ng
Apo.
Maynila, you know, in a way, no? Bigla na lang nalaman na nandito pala sa Davao. Baka magtampo ang mga taga Maynila, but that's ours.
Opo.
I mean, it's an African or
Yeah.
whatever. It's not
Yeah.
it's not a Philippine animal,
Yeah.
but it was a resident of Manila. What's it doing in Davao? Why is it going to be displayed in Davao?
The same could be said about Lolong. Lolong was captured here in Mindanao. Lolong was taken from Mindanao under the promise and the guise of being preserved, parang ibigay balik sa Mindanao. Pero wala, asa na si Lolong? Nasa National Museum. So the same could be said either way. Had our museum not recovered Mali, where would Mali be now? Sira, ilibing, ichap-chap, ilibing na. Wala. So, yes, na wala naman sa Manila. Pero she still lives on, hindi sa memories, hindi sa pictures lang, pero she will live on in her bone remains. Yung taxidermy, merong na plano sa ibutang sa Manila. And to see her taxidermied remains will be a remembrance of what she was. as we've talked about, I don't feel zoos should profit from the death of their animals. The purpose of a zoo is to highlight those animals alive, which is what the Manila Zoo has for the caretakers and the staff. They have done their best. Molly would not have lived as long as she did if she was not properly taken care of by the caretakers. She did live a long and healthy life. She was pushing the maximum age to continue to educate the public. Now, whether the Manila Zoo gets another elephant, that is not for me. Pero we will do our best to honor her life as her species as well continues on.
Napaka-complicated din yung itong paglilinis, pag-preserve ng mga buto. Paano mo natutunan to? Yun nga, sabi mo nga, there are only very few museums that do this kind of display. Obviously, it's a difficult process, sabi mo nga, no? So, how was this learned? How did you learn it?
Trial and error. I have my first ones that I practice on. They're not as good as the last ones I've done.
So you're self-taught?
Yes.
You didn't go to school
No.
to do this?
At 12 years old, I was doing taxidermy. And in fact, some of my original specimens that I did taxidermy are still on display. I still have them, whether it be at the house or here on display. So with Ito yung mga buto, it was through trial and error and then communicating to other international museums. There's a good friend of mine who owns a museum of osteology in the United States. He does the majority of the skeleton preparation for other museums in the United States. And then there's another group out of Alaska that they do whale preservations, and they have written books on it, but they ask us on how to do things because they've only done 2 or 3 of them. And we've done 80 plus. So it is a very small community, and if we find ways to do it better, we communicate with the other ones so that it broadens it, but at the same time, because we're such a tight-knit and small community, we do protect our procedures.
Okay, so after living here for 30 years, what bothers you most about the Philippines?
Doesn't matter how many years I put into the Philippines, I will always be puti, the foreigner. Oh, you're just arrogant. Oh, you think you can tell us what to do. And yet, whether it be anything from ireklamo paglabay ng basura to gamito ng parking space. If I say, ito yung balaod sa Davao City, bawal ng i-blocking ng parking space, the road is public access, parang parking. In front of the museum, puros na no parking. It's not reserved parking, it's no parking because maliit ng garsada. And it's the whole length of the road. So it's not hindi parang kami lang. Pero in front of a restaurant, there's 2 restaurants and one, there's no parking, so you park at the next one. They say, oh, no, that's reserved parking for our clients only. Pero government ng road, and you say, hindi pwede nimo ito. And some bystander goes, oh, you're just the arrogant foreigner. You're in my country. No, ma'am, it doesn't matter kung foreigner or kung Filipino. Ito yung balaod. That's the law. So it doesn't matter what you do great for the country, you're always the foreigner.
Our viewers might be wondering what's around your neck. Please, what's the story there?
Okay. Ito yung kwintas ko, ngipin sa buhaya. Ang buhaya, permanente na tagak yung ngipin niya. These teeth are constantly shedding, so this crocodile is still alive.
Walang pinatay na buhaya.
Wala namatay, yeah. And it's, sabi mga uban ng tao, anting-anting daw, parang protection nimo sa buhaya. Me, no. I enjoy crocodiles. In fact, yung logo sa museum is a skull of a crocodile, pero the skull of the crocodile, puros walang ngipin. And the logo is black and white, same as yung everything in life basically is black and white. Cause and consequences, or actions and consequences. Yung ipin sa ito yung buhaya, they're always shedding. After it sheds, it grows a new tooth. And so every time we make a mistake, as long as we're still alive, we have a chance to make a correction to that mistake. And so as an anting-anting, to say that you won't get bit by a crocodile because you wear it is not true, because the crocodile that lost the teeth, he has brand new, much sharper teeth. So parago, it's just a fascination with it, and it's a renewable resource ng permanente tagak. I had to go into the cage, pick up the teeth around the area that the crocodile was living. So you're watching the crocodile, and ito yung buhaya would be about 12 to 13 feet long. Sobrang 3.5 meters ko to 4 meters. So I was the one that personally went in and picked
alam mo
up
yung
the teeth.
buayan kung saan nanggaling yan.
Opo.
So bakit mo sinusuot ngayon?
I enjoy it. It's nangkuan. It's either that or a megalodon shark's tooth or whatever.
So you don't believe that it's a lucky charm
hindi,
or...
Hindi, no. And so it also identifies me. Kanang pag kita mga tao, ay, nakita ko ng, how did you know it was me? Oh, nakita ko yung kwintas. I wear it when I go scuba diving, when I do interactions with wildlife. It's yung image ito ng connection basically.
Okay, so you have 2 items from a crocodile on you right now. Bakit pinili mong crocodile? Why not a whale?
When I was 15 and we moved here to Davao, the first thing was literally the local crocodile park near where we lived. And so at 15 years old, I had a job as a tour guide dito yung crocodile park. The owner of the crocodile park, he actually went to school 11 miles from where my mom went to high school for an exchange student niya. So I worked as a tour guide with yung crocodile park, parang i-dakup yung buhaya, let people take pictures with it. So it was an animal that's scary, pero once you get to know it, the crocodile, sharks, anything, get a bad reputation because of being aggressive. The mother crocodile protects her nest and then carries the babies with her. And yet, when you talk about a buhaya, oh, they're scary animals, they'll just attack you, kill you. And yet, that same animal will protect its babies. So, there's 2 sides to every coin. The buhaya, kind of with the museum, is a flagship animal because if you protect a buhaya, you have to protect the area that the buhaya lives in, which would be the mangrove swamps. To protect the mangrove swamps, you're protecting the estuary where lapu-lapu and other fishes are going in to have their babies. Then you're protecting the baboy damo and the monkeys, which is the food for the crocodile. So by protecting one species, you've protected everything else in that area.
Hi, I'm Howie Severino. Check out the Howie Severino Podcast. New episodes will stream every Thursday. Listen for free on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and other platforms.